All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day so far. So, quick intro here. I had a member's request to check out this video here from Cosgrove, and it's titled, How Could the NBA Not Be Scripted? And, I mean, it seems to be a topic of conversation we've all been having for the last couple of seasons, and especially since all these different methods of gambling have entered the game. And everything has become kind of gamified and all about stats, and those stats are leading to big payouts and all this stuff. I figured this would be an interesting conversation or an interesting topic here. But I am also even more interested to see what Cosgrove is cooking with this one, because I haven't even watched like a second of this. So I say let's check it out and let's talk as we go. Guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all. Like the video if you could. The link to the original is down below in the description. Also a list of channel members. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you all. I say let's get on with it. What do you say? Do it. I say we get to the chopper now. Cosgrove.
Shortly after the 2003 NBA Draft Lottery, an 18-year-old LeBron James held his very first national press conference, and surrounding him were a group of his high school friends. LeBron himself was dressed pretty much like you'd expect from a young LeBron, a Nike sweatsuit and a headband, but I want you to pay attention to the guy standing right behind him, because if you look closely at his shirt, I'm pretty sure it says Philly. I couldn't quite make out the logo next to the word, so I can't say with absolute certainty what it is, but I'm pretty convinced that shirt says Philly. Was this an Easter egg telling us that LeBron would end up in Philadelphia 23 years later? Did somebody know something we didn't? Realistically, probably not. I mean, think about it. Why would LeBron and his friends intentionally leave us a clue about the fourth team he would eventually play for? But it is
okay. Normally, I'm with it. This one, I'm not with it on this one. I don't think so, personally. What do you guys think?
This is a weird coincidence nonetheless. This was actually the spark that gave me the idea for this entire video. So let's get into some of the other NBA players who may have accidentally foreshadowed where their careers were headed.
Okay, however, with the LeBron thing, he did say in that Pat McAfee show that he thought that it was rigged that he ended up going to Cleveland. Like, he was like, what are the odds? Akron, Ohio kid ended up going, drafted for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, I mean, he said that, and I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I'd say that's a little more suspect than him ending up in Philly all these years later and probably wearing the jersey number 23. But I'm curious what you guys think about that one.
Here we have a throwback picture of a young Tyler Hero wearing a Milwaukee Bucks shirt. Okay. And considering that Hero was eventually traded to Milwaukee, that is pretty incredible. Now, you could argue that this isn't that crazy. Hero is from Wisconsin, so it would actually make sense for him to have Bucks gear growing up. Yeah. It's kind of like Derrick Rose growing up in Chicago, or Seth Curry having his father, Dale Curry, spend a decade playing in Charlotte, or Jalen Brunson growing up around the Knicks while his dad, Rick Brunson, was playing there. When you have a connection to a city or a team, seeing a player wearing that team's gear as a kid isn't exactly shocking. But here's where Tyler Hero's story gets weird, because there's another picture of him as a kid, and he's wearing a Miami Heat jersey.
Now that is weird. The Wisconsin-Milwaukee thing, like, not so much, but that is okay.
And as far as I know, Hero didn't have some deep connection to Miami growing up.
I wonder whose jersey that was. Was that like a D-Wade jersey?
There is a photo of you, and I think it's like 4 or 5 years old, in a Heat jersey.
Yeah, I used to wear that jersey like every day, every single day. And then one day I asked my parents if they could like get someone to paint my wall like Miami Heat. So my whole room was Miami Heat when I was like 4 or 5.
Somehow, we have childhood pictures of him wearing the gear of both teams he would eventually play for. Cooper Flagg was apparently destined for Dallas.
I'm trying to think of my childhood and what was I wearing? And I hope you guys are thinking the same for the comments, because I'm curious about you guys too. I know I wore a lot of Phoenix Suns stuff. I know I wore like, whoever won the championship, I often got their championship shirt. I don't know if you guys remember that, with like the animated big head people. I also did it for the Dream Team. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Dude, I used to have a mouth retainer. and it had a Chicago Bulls logo on there. I also had, it's so stupid. Back when I had braces when I was a kid, I used to go red and black, like switching off each one for the Chicago Bulls. Don't do that, kids. It looks terrible. But yeah, I did all kinds of weird stuff because I just loved basketball. So there's a lot of teams that I enjoyed. I also did purple and orange on the braces too. Don't do that either, kids. But I'm curious about you guys. Did you guys just stick to your hometown team as far as like the merch you were buying, or was it kind of spread out to a whole bunch of different teams and players?
Just a few months after the Dallas Mavericks traded away their superstar Luka Doncic, the Mavericks somehow won the NBA draft lottery. And with that first pick, Dallas selected Cooper Flagg. Naturally, people started looking back at old footage of Flagg, and one particular video of him working out in Maine when he was just 13 years old began circulating. Now, we could sit here and say that the NBA rigged the lottery so the Mavs could get Flagg, and there were definitely people online making that argument.
Well, because of what went down with Luka and all of that, like it is kind of okay. Yeah, there's some connection there,
including myself. But whether you believe that or not, maybe Cooper Flagg was always supposed to be a Maverick.
I think I was 13 years old. I had a really good friend who is a diehard Mavericks fan, and he's a little older than me, and he had kind of outgrown some of his clothes, so he lent them down to me. And at the time, you're just wearing what you can, going through wearing clothes, and I love basketball, and so I just put it on and went for my workout.
Yeah, with Coop, I think it's less that he he willed this to happen. But when it comes to what Dallas did, they definitely. I mean, if I'm going outside of the dark realm of things and just being real, I always just saw that as we're gonna get rid of Luka and we're gonna invest in this young kid Cooper Flagg instead. That's how I saw it going down. But once again, that's just my opinion.
Nikola Jokic was around 5 years old in the year 2000. He was photographed wearing a Denver Nuggets sweatshirt in his hometown of Sombor, Serbia.
Wait, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second.
Workout.
Say it again.
When Nikola Jokic was around 5 years old in the year 2000, he was photographed wearing a Denver Nuggets sweatshirt in his hometown of Sombor, Serbia.
Wow.
And no, he wasn't wearing it because he was some lifelong Nuggets fan. Apparently, somebody had simply given him the sweatshirt. That's it. Completely random.
That's crazy.
Except look what happened later. Jokic would eventually be drafted by Denver and become the greatest player in franchise history.
I would love to ask him, were you able to watch NBA games or anything like that back then? Did he even know what that sweater was? Because I know earlier on, it was really hard for people in Europe to watch NBA games. I wonder if he even knew what the NBA was. I would love to ask him and get to know what, when you're rocking that Denver Nuggets sweater. Do you understand that's a basketball thing? That's an American basketball thing? I'm very curious. If I see this in America, that's okay, well, whatever. These things are common. But in Serbia, I don't imagine any Denver Nuggets merch being common, or any other team for that matter.
Eventually leading the Nuggets to their first NBA championship. And remember, this was Serbia in 2000. We're not talking about a kid in Los Angeles randomly wearing Lakers gear. We're talking about a kid thousands of miles away from Denver wearing Nuggets gear at a time when the team wasn't exactly the most recognizable basketball brand. There were probably people in the area who barely even knew the Nuggets existed. Yeah. Jokic had no idea that the sweatshirt he was wearing would eventually represent the franchise that would define his entire NBA career.
Do you believe in serendipity? Fate? Chances of a kid from a small Serbian town having a sweatshirt from a lesser-known American team back in 2000 were minimal. He went on to get drafted by that team. The Nuggets then shared this photo inception, a picture of Jokic holding that picture with the caption.
Okay, well, I was just about to ask, because anybody asked him about this, and apparently he's very aware.
Born to be a Nugget.
Crazy.
Now, Jokic wasn't the only member of that 2023 championship squad who wore their future team before they even knew it. Here's another childhood picture, this time of Bruce Brown. He's wearing a Nuggets jersey as a kid, and there's actually a little mystery surrounding exactly whose jersey he's wearing. Some fans believe it's a Chauncey Billups jersey from his first stint with Denver, while others believe it's a Tony Battie jersey, since Battie wore that same number for the Nuggets just 1 year before Billups arrived. Either way, the important part is the team, because years later, Bruce Brown around would join the Denver Nuggets, and he and Nikola Jokic would go on to win an NBA championship together.
Wow.
So we have 2 kids wearing Nuggets gear, and neither of them had any idea they'd eventually win an NBA championship for that exact franchise.
Wow. I got nothing I could say about that one. That just sounds like destiny.
Brandon Jennings grew up in Compton, California, so if you were going through his childhood photos, you'd probably expect to find him wearing a Lakers jersey. But instead, there's a picture of him wearing a Grant Hill Pistons jersey. And this is where things
Okay, but Grant Hill was that guy. Whether you like the Pistons or not, like G Hill was... people tend to forget just how big of a splash he made when he came into the league. Like, Piston fever was the thing, man. Him and then Penny and J Kidd, these guys were megastars right out of the gate.
Full circle, because Jennings would eventually be traded to the Pistons in 2013. So while he grew up on the other side of the country, him wearing this Pistons jersey ended up being a strangely accurate preview of his future.
The famous one, I think, is the one with me wearing the Grant Hill jersey with the Pistons, because I was about 3 years old or 4 or 5 years old at that time.
Speaking of players named
Grant Hill drinks Sprite, by the way, I hear.
Here's Brandon Ingram as a kid wearing a LeBron Cavs jersey. Now, to be fair, a lot of kids had that jersey. LeBron was one of the biggest athletes on the planet and still is. So seeing a kid wearing his jersey isn't exactly paranormal activity.
That's true. That's the equivalent of somebody wearing a Jordan jersey in the 80s or the 90s when I was growing up.
Not a lot of kids went on to actually become teammates with the man years later.
Crazy.
They played together on the Lakers for 1 season.
That also just shows just how old LeBron is. Like, what the hell, dude?
Another player who I guess spoke one of his future teammates into existence is Kristaps Porzingis. One of Porzingis' idols growing up was Carmelo Anthony, and naturally, when you idolize somebody, you don't just want to play like them, you want to look like them too. And apparently Porzingis took that pretty seriously. As a kid, he actually wore cornrows, similar to the hairstyle Carmelo Anthony was known for. And eventually, Porzingis ended up playing with Carmelo in New York. So he didn't just imitate his idol, he eventually became his teammate.
I used to watch him when I was younger. When he was in Denver, he was a part of why I got the cornrows.
I actually have a Carmelo jersey from the Denver Nuggets. So I was a fan of Carmelo for sure, and growing up.
That's cool though.
Now I actually talked about this one in a previous video, but it's just way too crazy not to include.
Okay.
When Sandro Mamukelashvili signed with the San Antonio Spurs in 2023, he posted childhood pictures of himself wearing a Spurs jersey, which is already wild in and of itself. But it gets even crazier, because when Chris Paul signed with San Antonio in 2024, Sandro had another picture ready to go.
Me and CP, and this me and CP, but CP's not real. In New York City, in an NBA store in 2012.
Wow.
They had like this measuring thing, so I was trying to see how tall I was compared to him. So it's surreal, you know. I'm from Georgia, so visiting states was always a big deal. Playing with him now and kind of learning and listening, unreal.
Wow.
So apparently,
that's cool.
Young Sandro wasn't just predicting his future team, he was predicting one of his future teammates as well. Now, I can't talk about Spurs throwback pictures without bringing up Victor Wembanyama. When the Spurs landed the #1 pick in the 2023 NBA draft, former Spurs player Tony Parker posted a picture that appeared to show a young Wemby wearing his #9 jersey. So naturally, this led to speculation that the draft lottery had somehow been rigged.
Well, French, right? Yeah, the French connection. It says it right there. Yeah, Parker was a hero for his country as far as basketball fans, just like Ginobili was for Argentina and so many more you could list. Right now, Jokic for Serbia. I would totally imagine that, but I feel like there's a new twist coming here, so let's see.
Obviously, there's no evidence proving that, but as far as coincidences go, it's pretty perfect.
So this is me, 10 years old. I'm wearing a Spurs jersey, you know, it's kind of a foreshadowing.
Yeah.
There's actually a LeBron James trading card that may have accidentally predicted the future. The card features a patch cut directly from one of LeBron's Lakers jerseys, but there's something really strange about the piece of fabric they used. It only shows one word, leave. Naturally, people started wondering if the card manufacturer
yeah, he was gonna leave anyways.
Was secretly sending LeBron a message, basically telling him to do exactly that, leave Los Angeles.
I don't know who was pissed off when they made this card.
You need to leave.
That's crazy.
This is probably Byron Scott.
I'd never seen this before in my life.
That is funny,
leave
though, huh?
patch for LeBron.
Leave, eh?
I'm trying to figure like what part of the jersey it came from.
The original phrase on the jersey was "Leave a Legacy," a tribute honoring the late Kobe Bryant that was placed above their jersey patches this year. But regardless of whether it was intentional, it's still technically a piece of clothing that foreshadowed what LeBron would eventually do.
I gotta say, that's pretty funny. And I wonder how that went down, like how that operation went down. Did somebody just get to choose any piece of that jersey, and they chose the word "leave"? Because then, yeah, you could really say that there's something there. And whoever designed that was probably a Lakers fan who's saying, "Get the hell out of here, man." Oh man, this is gonna be a fun one in the comments, guys. If you can, throw in timestamps, because there's so many different topics in here going so fast. And once again, shout out to members. Appreciate you. We all do. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. This was a fun one. And honestly, I've got quite a bit of new members requests from you guys, so I'll be plowing through those one at a time. As far as this goes, listen, I don't get this deep into conspiracy theories if I can see a logical answer, and most of these, you know, there's a logical answer behind it. But then you got some things like Jokic in Serbia wearing a Denver Nuggets sweater. That one, I can't explain that. Like that is crazy irony that something like that's gonna happen. But for everybody else, like, you know, in the U.S., I really want you guys to set me straight if I'm wrong. I feel like we've always just kind of rocked our favorite players' gear, and like we. At least how it used to be. We used to support our home team first, and then after that, we're rocking whoever we're a fan of. So I don't think that part's too weird. And also the Wemby one. I just, that one makes sense because, you know, it's a French connection right there. You're supporting your fellow Frenchie, you know, who's an all-star on the San Antonio Spurs. What other jersey would you get? You know, that's as close to supporting your hometown team as you can when you're outside of the States. But anyways, guys, I'm curious what you guys thought. Thank you for the request to check this out. It was good times. Go check out Cosgrove's channel. Link is down below. And with that, I bid you farewell until tomorrow morning. Guys, thank you. Like the video if you could. Hype the video. It all helps. And subscribe if... You know what? Moving forward, I'm going to be honest. Subscribe if you want me to beat Scap Attack in our race to 110K subs. Because, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. We're going to have a race and see who gets there. And I don't know if I'm going to win this one, but this is one of those I 100% need your guys' support if I have a chance to win this bet. So, ball's in your court. I'll be reminding you all, and hopefully you guys think I'm worthy of a subscribe. But either way, until then, be water, my friends.